everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to Center Court. We're going to do our deep dive into a great MBA program, actually two great MBA programs, an accelerated one-year stint and a two-year one at Emory University's Goizueta School of Business. And with me are two longtime friends, Melissa Rapp, who runs admissions and who has been at Emory for almost 4 years now. I knew her back in the day at Northwestern Kellogg, where she was director of admissions. And Brian Mitchell, who runs the MBA programs 1 and 2 year and is a true scholar of business education, having actually taken a break and gone to Harvard to study the field in depth. Hey, welcome. It's great to see the two of you.
Good to see you, John. Thank you.
Let's just talk a little bit about Emory and talk a little bit about your two different programs, how they differ from each other, and who they're ideally suited for. You have the two-year program, which I'm assuming is great for career switchers, and the one-year program, which probably is great for a career enhancer, although I'm sure there are plenty of people who switch careers in your one-year program as well.
We do. It's a great introduction to the different formats that we have here. And we always like to start answering this question with the end in mind, which is both programs are intended to train leaders to go into a similar field of opportunities. They're not selecting from different job pools. The degree doesn't say something different at the end of it. And so there are more similarities than there are differences. To your point, John, in the one-year MBA program, some people do think that it might only be for accelerators. And there's certainly a number of those folks who are in the program who have a couple of years of consulting and want to go back into consulting after business school. So that's the traditional kind of accelerator. But there are a lot of career switchers from backgrounds that prepare them very well for what they learn in business school, like engineers, for example. We're finding a lot of medical students, a lot of doctors and future doctors who are very skilled in some of the quantitative skills that they'll need, certainly structural problem solving, but want to apply that in a way that they would find new and different. And so the real way to think about the 1 year and the 2 year, the difference is, you're right, the scale of the pivot that you want to make. So how much of a whole change are you trying to make in your career? And then there's a very real question that applicants should ask themselves around the return on investment, because the 1 year program is a 3-semester program instead of 4. So there's a difference there in tuition. You're out of the workforce for 1 year instead of 2. So there's an opportunity cost difference there as well. So those are factors that I think are inputs, and that's kind of the thinking on the 1 year program. The 2 year program is very traditional. I think everybody who's probably tuning in here is very familiar with that format. It's a classic 4-semester program with a summer internship in the middle, and the internship is designed for students who are making a larger pivot and who want that proof point that they can actually execute and that they will actually like the careers that they're going into. I talked to some students who started their internships this week and reminded them that it's not just about you adding value, but you're still a student. So you're there to learn if this is a career that's going to be fulfilling for you. And so that's really, a main differentiator for the 2 year program.
Yeah, and I'm thinking the key thing is that summer internship, which allows you to do two things: try out a given career field, and secondly, for your employer to take a look at you and possibly offer you a full-time job that you'll have in your pocket once you return to campus for your second year, which is a beautiful feeling to have in terms of security and confidence.
Leverage, absolutely.
Yeah. And in the 1 year, you don't have an internship, but I'm imagining that you do have experiential learning opportunities that, while not an internship, give you something to talk about in interviews with potential employers.
Well, yes, and of course, there's a client-facing projects that gives you very real material experience. You also, the whole time our 2 years are doing their summer internships, our 1 years are practicing very rigorously, practicing their interviews, their story, their elevator pitches, their stories, and all that. So they're exceptionally well prepared when the time comes for full-time recruiting. So they're not missing much of what the 2 years get in that experience as well.
That's great. And what many people may not know, but Goizueta was something of a pioneer here in this, which is that you can take electives very early on in your first year. And what that essentially does is prepare you in a way that many other MBA students at other schools are not prepared for their internship. So let's say you want to go into finance. You can take some elective financial courses so that when you arrive for your internship, you're going to be there to perform from day one, having that deeper knowledge in the field. The same is true in any other field that you might enter in your internship. And that has been really valuable, I'm imagining, for making that first great impression as an intern and coming back with that full-time job offer, right?
No question. And you don't have to imagine it. Look at the outcomes, right? That decision to put our core curriculum in the first semester, which gives every second semester student a chance to get their reps in, right? Take those classes, learn some things, try some things before the internship. That's turned into an incredible rate of internship conversion to offer. And on the outcome side, we just had yet another year where our job offers at 3 months out, the highest in the nation, highest percentage of any business school in the nation. And so there's no question that those two things are related. Great point.
Yeah, and I want to underline that because I think consistently year over year, Emory's posted, stellar placement stats, both at graduation and 3 years out, that make it a leader in success rate for getting students into jobs that they really want. And that's no small feat. I mean, that takes a lot of extra preparation, work, and thought to get students directed on their careers and to get them in the right framework to make that happen. And that just tells me of the depth of your career curriculum that you place on top of the traditional MBA curriculum as well. I wonder if you might talk a little bit about the career curriculum and how you get people on track that quick.
It starts early.
This starts right away.
Yeah, they're actually, Melissa, as you kind of round out our incoming class, as those deposits are coming in, so are the instructions going out on how you need to get prepared. So it starts in the summertime. We have an official course that's inside the curriculum, so it's not something layered over extra that students have to make time for, a professional development course. It's very integrated into the experience. So it's not accidental that students, when they start showing up for these interviews, are so well prepared. It's a little bit of, it feels like a lot of work actually for the students on the front end, but everyone will tell you on the back end that it really pays off. There's no substitute for that kind of practice and that kind of rigor when it comes to telling your story in terms of what you're learning in real time and how you can apply that, to the jobs that you're seeking. So there's a real art that our Career Management Center has mastered.
And I don't think we should overlook the size of our program, and that this intimate nature of our program really allows our dynamic career coaches to work individually with each student at a level they may not get elsewhere. And so that intimate design and that commitment to being a small program really also layers into the success that we see for our students.
In fact, Melissa, your annual intake on the 1 year and the 2 year are what?
Together, they're usually around 200, so 200 incoming students each year, and that's a great size, both for the program office and Brian's team and for the career management. And I'd say it really does allow students to develop this intimate relationships and the access to faculty and the access to career coaching that allows them to move very quickly to this day one readiness that we were already talking about. Our students really do feel like they're a part of the community very quickly. And we often tell candidates that there's just no place to hide. So if you're looking for a program where you can blend in, this is not going to be the right program for you. We really look for all of our students to show up and to be actively engaged from the very beginning.
Hey, and I know, look, if you were 5 times as large, no one could hide because I know what Brian does there. Okay.
Also,
He is totally all over it.
High touch.
And I might, point out another early innovation in terms of your admissions process. I remember very vividly, you were the very first school I ever went to that told me that you actually have a career management official sitting in on admission decisions, so that you can ensure that the people that you're accepting, you can fulfill their aspirations and judge how realistic or not an applicant's goals are, and making sure that those goals are aligned with the school's strengths and what you can student. And even to this day, very few schools do that.
Yeah, and I think, it's again kind of a part of the whole culture that has been developed here and was part of my attraction for coming to the school, was that everyone is invested in every part of the experience. From, we're very excited about Gareth James joining our community and bringing with him a whole new level of energy. But everyone from the dean all the way down to the members of my team are really invested in what happens with these students from day one all the way until they're an alum many years over. So it is important to us to really get to know our candidates, to understand their journey, and to provide a level of guidance. We really try to work with students. Not everyone's familiar with a portfolio of options. Not everyone understands what a one-year MBA can do. And every year we have students who think the two-year program is a great option until we really dig into what the 1 year is about. And so having that level of investment in our candidates early, again, brings them into the community really quickly.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out, there are very few really good US schools that have 1 year programs. 1 year programs tend to dominate in Europe, but they're fairly rare in the United States, even though, as Brian pointed out, the value proposition for a lot of people is very strong in a 1 year program. And if you have an undergraduate degree in business, I think it makes a lot of sense to do a 1 year program instead of a 2 year program, particularly if you know exactly what you want in terms of career and you don't need the extra exploration time to get it. So that's a really valuable option for a lot of different people. Tell me what people experience. What is the learning experience truly like? You're not a 100% case study school. What's a sense of what people will go through when they get in the program? Let's say focus on the 2 year program. What kind of projects will they do? How much class time will they have? Are there international immersions? Are there concentrations? Let's get into the nitty gritty of what happens to you when you show up on campus.
Well, I can answer that question by saying yes.
Yeah.
Or I can give you
yes.
I get the fuller, more rich answer, which is yes, but how does all of that happen? Because it really does happen here in unique ways. And of course, we are the most biased people in the world when it comes to how we do things. I'm an alum, so from a million years ago, but there's a reason why I've stayed so close to Goizueta even before I became a dean here. It's because of how we do things. And it really starts before day one, as we talked about in the summer, building the community. And it's a community that is very, very uniquely executed here because of our size, but also because of our high touch. I mean, you make fun of me, John, because we've known each other a long time, and you know very well that I know our students. I know their names, I know where they're from, I know their stories, but it's not just me, it's our whole team. And so we start to immerse in that experience and get our students really engaged with each other with an entire week of community onboarding before anything else happens. During that week, they learn who their core teams will be. And the core team experience at Goizueta is, again, unlike anything else. It's really a pressure cooker of, you spend a lot of time with these folks. This is your family for your first semester. And so that's a little bit of the answer to your question of how this happens when you first arrive. What happens first? You get a team and you spend almost all of your time working on team-based learning for what I call the fundamentals of your business school experience. When you're in your first semester, you have the core. And the core, when you think about it, is exactly what a student would imagine it to be: marketing, finance, all accounting, all of those functional areas. But here we also give you in the core a course called Impact, which focuses on structured problem solving, effective and persuasive communication, and how to work and lead effectively as a team member or a team leader.
Mm.
And when you combine that with the functional tools, that launches you into your client project, and you're really ready to work on a real project for a real client solving a real problem. And that happens very early in the experience. You also will have a chance after your first semester to start your elective journey and start your career, your career decision making around internships. And at the end of your first year, you have your first opportunity to do what we call GEMS, which is your global experiential module. And so you'll have a choice of different countries you can explore that are aligned to different academic content, different strategic themes for us, like leadership, like entrepreneurship and innovation. And that continues on into your second year. So after your summer internship, you rinse, repeat with electives. You have a second opportunity to do another GEM, study abroad. I'm a big believer in global experiences really helping people build empathy, build emotional intelligence, build cultural awareness, and become the kind of global leaders that we really strive to develop. And so that's a huge emphasis of our program, John, huge.
And if you're listening out there, what you're hearing is a very pragmatic view of a business education. And it comes from someone who spent years in pharma and consulting at Capgemini and Accenture. Although Brian's been at Emory now for nearly 12 years. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. Nearly 12 years you've been there. But he's grounded in the pragmatic and in making stuff happen, which I say is all of what life is. It's making stuff happen, period, which is a great part of learning that and knowing how to do it. And I imagine that you've got great clients who participate in those client assignments. I rattle off a few of the names of the companies and organizations that have partnered with your students on these projects.
So given that we're Emory, there's no surprise that I have my required Coca-Cola placement here. So that's a big one.
Yeah, for those of you who do not know, Goizueta is named after Roberto Goizueta, the legendary chairman and CEO of Coca-Cola, who really reinvented that company for the modern times. And it's interesting for me to see Delta's logo over the Goizueta Business School. That's relatively new, isn't it?
That one's about 5 years old. They built us out a leadership hub, and so this background you're looking at is a photo from within our Delta Leadership Hub. And Delta is not only one of the biggest employers in the region, but also a client of ours as well. So you can imagine that there are, when you ask about client projects, there are the big classic clients: Coca-Cola, Delta, Home Depot, those folks. On the banking side, Truist and other banks. But there are also, and it's really important, John, there are also small specialized opportunities for students who are interested in building their own businesses and doing something that doesn't look like what marketing at Coca-Cola looks like. Nothing wrong with that, but there are a lot of students who are interested in that. This year, Spanx had a couple of different teams with us. And there are a lot of women and men too who look at Sarah Blakely as a model of the American dream and building a company that's become wildly successful, and who are lined up to work on that project.
And Brian, at my age, I can use some Spanx.
I'm not going there with you, John. I am not going there. And even so, I'll say this too about a company like Coca-Cola. Everything doesn't look like this. So we had two projects from Smartwater, Coca-Cola, which is smaller brand, very entrepreneurial spirit within a big major company. And so there are endless opportunities to fine tune what you as a student are really interested in, and find it within these projects and really get valuable experiential learning out of that during your project.
So Brian, you named 3 companies, actually 4. And 3 of them are headquartered in Atlanta: Delta, Home Depot, and obviously Coca-Cola. And I think it's worth spending a little time on Atlanta as well, because for people who don't know Atlanta, they may be outside the country, or they may be in other parts of the country far flung away, and may not appreciate how dynamic and how growing how it's one of America's great cities, and it's become even more so in the last 10 years.
Well, Melissa has been here now a few years and probably can speak to that as someone who's come from the outside with one point of view, or maybe it's consistent with what you've experienced. But what's that been like for you?
No, I definitely think it was a refreshing change from Chicago to come down here and to, I had some apprehensions, but it has proven itself to be a major cultural hub, a really dynamic city, with the added benefit of such a much better climate. So you get to do things more year round than Chicago, and our outside.
Those Chicago winters, huh?
Yeah, and I don't miss those at all. Brian's actually a Chicago man himself, so we often compare notes on that. But just the level of corporate involvement in the city, the rising of the tech scene here, of the entrepreneurship scene, there's just a vibrancy that really comes across and really makes it a very livable city. The investment in Parkland and in the festivals that you can go to nearly every weekend year round gives our students the opportunity to engage in the community as well as the school. And I found it to be incredibly approachable, friendly, and yet very in tune with current events. I think being in Atlanta during the most recent social justice issues and the level of civic engagement that you find here is incredibly educational as well. And so on multiple fronts, I think our students learn and grow in really important ways being this close to Atlanta.
And I think too that, in many ways, Atlanta is one of America's future cities, future in the sense of its diversity, in its embrace of different people from different places with different points of view and perspective. And it's something that all good business schools, and I'm sure Goizueta as well, has been focused on as well in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how that has played out in popular culture and in our consciousness. Brian, can you speak to that a little bit?
Oh yeah, it certainly can. It's something that we are all here champions of. And I think Goizueta has been a model for how we act, react, and how proactive we were, all of the things. I think that there shouldn't be any conversation or debate any longer around the value of diversity, equity, and inclusion in business. Right? I get a little frustrated with the question of, well, where is the value of this and what is it adding to MBA programs? There's been enough research, bodies of literature created on diversity being a value driver for businesses. The business case is shut on that. There's no longer a conversation about it. And so what we've been able to do, and our faculty, our leadership's been very willing to do, is not only respond to, like Melissa said, our most recent social justice movement with all the things an organization should do facing the marketplace, statements and programming and all the things that address these issues, but also inside the curriculum. We've created courses, we've started lines of research. We actually now have a whole concentration, an academic concentration on diversity, equity, inclusion. Same as we have for any of our other strategic initiatives or even our other traditional pathways like marketing and finance. DEI is now an academic concentration. And I think that is exactly what a leader is a business school should do, to prepare leaders in business to treat DEI like the value driver that it really is. Yep. There's no question a diverse workforce serving diverse markets, that's just as fundamentally important as knowing finance, proper accounting, skillful marketing. And so I'm very proud, and I know Melissa and I work together every day on this. We're very proud to work in an organization that has really embraced that.
Yep. And let me just also ask about what you're doing to cultivate and nurture leadership skills. Obviously, it's a core part of every MBA program. Different schools have different approaches to this. What is Goizueta's approach?
So we've known each other a long time, John, and I talk about this a lot in three buckets. One of them being the academic component. I do think that there's this debate. Can you learn leadership in the classroom? Can you not? There shouldn't be a debate whether there are some things you can learn in the classroom, and that there is some science to leadership. There are some attributes of great leaders that we can actually study and learn in the classroom. But that is not to the exception of the experiential, right? So you have to have both. You have to have leadership experiences. We've been very fortunate for the past almost 10 years to have General Ken Keene, retired General Ken Keene, who leads our leadership initiatives and who integrates, after action reviews and an experience down at Fort Benning with our students to go through a leader's reaction course. We have one of the most popular offerings we have is the Goizueta Advanced Leadership Academy, which is a semester-long deep dive into a leadership experience. But the capstone is a sailing competition where we send students to the British Virgin Islands on teams of sailboats. And by the second full day, they're sailing those boats, racing against each other. I mean, it's an incredible experience, but it's really designed to pressure test those leadership components that you learn and that you've practiced up to then. And the third piece, John, is about reflection. And it's a discipline that I always say distinguishes great leaders from good managers. Good managers can do all those little things, but if you're not taking time to be intentional about reflection and how you can get better, then you're not really emerging into a great leader. And we spend a lot of time in our leadership practice around reflection. And so students get a 360-degree view of that. And that, again, starts day one. It's one of those things that, you're going to get whether you want it or not here, you're going to get it. But thankfully, this generation of students, everybody wants a little bit of that.
Now, what part of the curriculum of the year do you send people sailing? I want to know.
That happens in the final semester. That's a spring of the final semester. If you're a one-year student, it's your third semester. If you're a two-year student, it's your fourth semester. So everybody, no matter what program, is invited to participate on that as kind of a capstone to your MBA experience.
That sounds like a really cool experience, something I would love to visit you on. And now I'm only a Delta flight away from you guys, like it's just about an hour. So I need to come down and revisit and just spend some time, sit in a couple classrooms, have some meals with your students and get up to date on everything.
You have an open invitation. And when Gareth starts July 1st, so that's a great reason to come visit us.
Yeah, so maybe in the early fall, after he gets his feet planted on the ground, I need to come down and spend a couple of days. I'd love to do that. Okay, so for any of you who are interested in learning more about Goizueta's 1-year or 2-year MBA program, what advice do you, Brian, and do you, Melissa, have for prospective students?
I'll defer to Melissa on this first.
Well, one of the best things about having our 1-year program is we have students in class over the summer. So we are offering class visits all summer long. My team offers individual consultations at any point in the process. So you can get on our website and schedule a consultation, and we'll go through your resume, your goals, and talk about the different programs we offer. We're happy to do that at any point. But I really think the best advice for people who are thinking about an MBA is to take the time they need to really get to know the programs they're considering and to really look at the breadth and depth of programs that are offered. There is some place out there for everyone, and finding that right fit does take an investment in time, and spending time talking to current students, talking to alumni, talking to faculty is all going to help you to understand whether or not a program is a good fit for you. And that fit piece of the puzzle is a really important one. So I definitely encourage people to take advantage of the events that are offered. Come fall, we'll be offering our preview days. And so that's a great opportunity to get a lot of bang for your buck. We love getting to know people, and we love talking to people about their hopes and aspirations and what the value of an MBA can bring to them personally and professionally. So we always are excited to meet new people. So just reach out to us via the internet and we'll be in touch.
Great. Brian, any last words?
I couldn't agree more with Melissa on come and see us. I think that's the most important thing you can do. It's probably not what you expect, and I mean that in the best of ways. This is not, it's not my father's MBA program. This is not my MBA program. We are very intentional about designing an experience that meets students where they are and also meets the needs of business and the world where we are at this moment in time. And so I think, you know, students who are sort of on the fence, when you come and experience what we're offering and how we're doing it, I think there's a lot of pleasant surprises there.
And let me just add, you know, obviously I've been in this game a long time, and I've been at pretty much every business school in the world worth being at. And I've met staff, faculty, students, graduates of all these different programs. I have to tell you that in terms of staff support, administrative people doing the job of making sure the MBA program delivers and making sure that there is a positive result at the end of the program, I would be hard pressed to find more dedicated, more devoted, more passionate group of people at any business school in the world. So let me just put that out there because it's absolutely true.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that, John.
Yes, thank you.
Ryan, a pleasure as always. Melissa, what a joy to see you again. And honestly, in the fall, I want to board a Delta flight from where I am, take that short trip in and spend a day or two with all of you folks to get reacquainted and get the deep dive on your new dean.
Wonderful. We'll look
We'd love
forward
to
to
have
it.
you.
All right. And for all of you out there, this is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. You've been watching our Center Court edition on the Goizueta Business School at Emory University. Check it out. Contact Ryan, contact Melissa. Look at their website. They've got a great website with a lot of information, tutorials on how to apply and how to be successful there. Thanks for watching.